It was early morning at the quiet cemetery. Soft sunlight spilled across the headstones, and the world seemed still. A young woman was kneeling beside a grave, her hands trembling. Tears fell onto the cold marble as she whispered, "Please, help me. I have nowhere left to go." She didn't know someone was watching. That someone was Mr. Daniel Hart, a self-made millionaire, and the grave she was crying at, it was his wife's. Daniel froze, confused. He had come to visit his late wife, Caroline, as he did every Friday morning. But today, someone was already there, a stranger, young, poorly dressed, with tired eyes and a heart clearly heavy with pain. He stepped closer and gently said, "That's my wife's grave. Why are you here?" The girl's shoulders shook as she wiped her eyes, unable to speak. Daniel Hart was 63 years old. To the world, he was a successful business tycoon, the man behind Hart Enterprises, the man who rebuilt himself from nothing. But to those who knew him, he was simply a widower who never truly recovered from losing his wife 5 years ago. His wife Caroline had been the heart of everything. She loved helping people, giving quietly, never asking for recognition. Every Friday morning, Daniel brought flowers to her resting place, white lilies, her favorite, and every time, he spoke to her as though she could still hear him. But today was different. Someone else was kneeling there. The cemetery was silent except for the rustling leaves. Daniel approached slowly so he wouldn't frighten the girl. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I don't mean to intrude, but I'd like to understand." The young woman finally stood. Her clothes were worn, her shoes nearly falling apart, and her eyes held the exhaustion of someone who had suffered quietly for too long. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't be here, but you clearly needed to be," Daniel replied. "So please, tell me." Her name was Emily. "I'm 22 years old, once a bright student with dreams of becoming a nurse. But life had not been kind to her." She clutched her small bag and began, "I didn't know this grave belonged to your wife. I just come here sometimes because it's peaceful. And today, I needed someone to listen." Daniel's heart softened. "My wife always listened," he said with a sad smile. "Tell me what she would have wanted to hear." Emily hesitated, but there was sincerity in his voice. "I lost my mother last year," she began. "She was everything to me. We used to talk every night. She worked 2 jobs so I could finish school." Daniel nodded. "Your mother must have been a strong woman." "She was," Emily said, swallowing her tears. "But after she passed, everything fell apart." She explained that medical bills had taken everything. Their small apartment was sold. She had been staying in shelters, taking small cleaning jobs to survive. "I'm trying," she said. "But sometimes it feels like no one cares if I disappear." Her voice broke, and she covered her mouth to hide the sob. Daniel stood quietly, hands folded in front of him. His wife had also grown up with nothing. Maybe that's why Emily reminded him of her. He looked at the stone beneath their feet. "My Caroline believed every person deserves someone to stand beside them," he said softly. She hated the idea of anyone feeling alone. Emily closed her eyes, breathing shackily. "I'm sorry," she whispered again. "I didn't mean to intrude on your grief." "You didn't," Daniel replied. "Grief is universal, and pain doesn't need permission." For a long moment, the two stood in silence. A bird sang somewhere in the distance. A gentle breeze passed, moving the flowers that were already laid at the grave. "That's a beautiful necklace," Daniel said suddenly, noticing the small silver heart on a thin chain. Emily touched it gently. "My mother gave it to me on my birthday," she said. "Inside is a tiny picture of us. It's the only thing I have left." Daniel nodded. Caroline also used to wear a small locket, one he now kept in a drawer beside their old photographs. Emily looked down at the name on the grave. "Caroline Grace Hart, beloved wife and friend, always helping." "She sounds like someone who made the world better," she said. Daniel's voice softened. "She did. She spent her life helping people who were struggling. She believed if God gave you 2 hands, one was for yourself, and one was for lifting someone else." Emily's eyes filled again, but this time, not from sadness. Daniel, moved but cautious, asked gently, "Do you have anywhere safe to stay?" Emily hesitated. "I was staying in a shelter, but it closed last week. I've been sleeping on the bus sometimes, or outside." The word struck him like a blow. "You're so young," he said. "No one should be going through this alone." She forced a small smile. "It's temporary. I have faith. I just need one chance to get back up." Daniel could hear his wife's voice in his memory. "If someone asks for help, God is giving you an opportunity to be the answer." He took a slow breath. "Emily, please come with me," he said. She stepped back immediately. "No, I can't impose," she said. "You don't even know me." Daniel shook his head. "You're someone who came seeking comfort at my wife's grave. That means my wife brought you here. And that's enough." Emily looked down, overwhelmed. Daniel drove her to a nearby cafe, a small, warm place where he and Caroline used to spend Sunday mornings. He ordered 2 cups of tea and a simple breakfast. Emily stared at the food like she didn't know whether she was allowed to touch it. "Please," Daniel said. "Eat." She finally picked up a piece of bread. He noticed she hadn't eaten properly in days. They talked for over an hour. He learned that Emily had dropped out of nursing school because she couldn't pay the fees after her mother passed. Despite everything, she still volunteered occasionally to help seniors in the community. She used to say, Emily remembered, "If you have nothing else to give, at least give kindness." Daniel felt his eyes sting. Caroline used to say something similar. "I think," he said quietly, "you and my wife would have gotten along beautifully." Emily smiled, a true smile this time. Then Daniel took out his phone. "Do you have a resume?" Emily blinked. I did, but it's outdated." "Then we'll update it," he said. "I know a clinic that needs assistance, and I have some influence there." Emily's eyes widened. "Why would you do that for me?" Daniel slowly folded his hands. "Because someone once believed in me when I had nothing, and because my wife always said that if we help one person, we help the world a little." Tears rolled down Emily's cheeks, but now they carried hope. "Thank you," she whispered. Truly, over the next few weeks, Emily's life began to change. Daniel helped her secure a small apartment, paying the first few months' rent so she could start fresh. He introduced her, clinic director, a kind woman who admired Emily's humility and strength. Emily got the job. On her first payday, she bought fresh flowers and returned to the cemetery alone. She knelt at Caroline's grave and said, "Thank you for sending him to me." A soft wind blew through the trees, and she closed her eyes. From then on, every Friday, Daniel wasn't alone anymore. Emily stood beside him, placing her own flowers, simple daisies, next to his lilies. One morning, she looked at him and said, "You know, I used to think I had no one left in this world." Daniel smiled, eyes soft. "You're wrong," he said. "You have a family now." Emily reached out and gently squeezed his hand. "And so do you," she replied. Months passed. Emily continued working at the clinic, building her savings and returning slowly to her nursing classes. Daniel attended her first day back at college, standing proudly outside like a father seeing his child off to school. They celebrated holidays together, visited the cemetery on birthdays and anniversaries, and shared stories of the 2 women who had shaped their lives, Caroline and Emily's mother. Love is not always found in romance. Sometimes, it is found in the way strangers become family, in the way one broken soul recognizes another, in the way God places the right people in front of us, exactly when we need them. And so, what began as a chance meeting in a quiet cemetery, it became a new beginning for them both. Sometimes, the simplest act of kindness becomes someone else's miracle, and sometimes, God sends the right person at the exact moment a heart is breaking. Share this story if it touched your heart.